physical duel. Ali's performance crescendos in these sequences, his stoicism cracking just enough to reveal terror, not of death, which he has long since accepted, but of meaninglessness, while the antagonist counters with chilling serenity, arguing that eternal night offers clarity in a morally ambiguous universe, a temptation the film treats with unsettling plausibility. The score underscores this moral tug-of-war with a fusion of choral lamentation and industrial percussion, evoking both sacred requiem and mechanical inevitability, reinforcing the sense that Blade is trapped in a cosmic machine designed to grind hope into dust. Structurally, the film takes risks that will likely divide audiences, including extended passages of near silence, ambiguous dream visions that blur diegetic boundaries, and an ending that resists triumphant closure in favor of hard-won, conditional reprieve. But it is precisely this refusal to sanitize darkness that elevates the film beyond franchise obligation into something approaching tragic myth, suggesting that heroism in this universe is not about saving the world once and for all, but about choosing again and again to stand against entropy even when victory is temporary and scars are permanent. The supporting cast contributes textured performances that avoid caricature, particularly in portraying vampires not as uniform monsters, but as a stratified society with competing theologies and survival strategies, thereby complicating Blade's mission and forcing him to acknowledge that extermination is a blunt instrument in a morally variegated war. And this nuance feeds into the film's broader meditation on cycles, of violence, of vengeance, of inherited trauma, implying that hellish realms persist not solely because of demonic rulers, but because of unresolved human failings that echo across generations. Technically, the production design deserves special commendation for crafting tactile environments that feel corroded by centuries of secrecy, from underground blood sanctuaries adorned with faded frescoes to abandoned industrial complexes repurposed into vampiric citadels, each space telling a story of decay and adaptation, while the kinematography often frames Blade as a solitary silhouette against vast negative space, visually articulating his isolation more eloquently than dialogue ever could. In its final movement, the film narrows its scope to an intimate moral crucible, forcing Blade to decide whether he is defined by his hybrid curse or by his capacity for choice. And though the climactic battle delivers the expected spectacle, blades clashing, infernal gates rupturing, ancient powers colliding, the true climax occurs in a quiet moment of refusal, a denial of the nihilistic logic that has haunted him since birth. And it is here that the film crystallizes its thesis, that damnation is not an inheritance, but a surrender. By the time the credits roll, Blade remains a figure carved from shadow, his future uncertain, his war unfinished. Yet the film leaves him not as a relic of 1990s anti-hero cool, but as a tragic knight navigating a morally diseased cosmos. And in doing so, Blade, King of Hell, reclaims the character's horror roots, while expanding his myth into operatic territory rarely attempted in contemporary comic book adaptations, delivering a work that is uncompromising in tone, ambitious in scope, and unexpectedly reflective in spirit. A dark epic that trusts its audience to sit with discomfort, to question easy binaries, and to recognize that sometimes the most heroic act is not slaying the monster before you, but resisting the monster within. Blade, King of Hell arrives as a ferocious operatic reinvention of the Daywalker mythos, fusing gothic horror, apocalyptic fantasy, and brooding character drama into what may be the boldest supernatural entry ever released under the banner of Marvel Studios. And from its first blood-soaked frame, the film declares that it has little interest in quippy superhero formula or safe franchise building. Instead, it plunges headlong into a vision of damnation, where eternity is not merely a backdrop, but a psychological condition, a curse that corrodes memory, morality, and identity. And at the center of this infernal odyssey stands Mahershala Ali, whose portrayal of Blade is less a traditional action hero performance and more a slow burn suspended between species, between centuries, and between the faint hope of redemption and the seductive gravity of oblivion. with Ali imbuing every measured line and restrained glare with the weight of someone who has watched civilizations rot and friendships wither while he alone endures. The narrative structure mirrors this existential limbo, unfolding in three grimly poetic movements that chart Blade's descent into a literal underworld ruled by an ancient vampire sovereign, an interpretation of Dracula that abandons aristocratic charm in favor of mythic monstrosity, whose plan to merge hell with earth reframes vampirism not as a hidden infestation, but as an evolutionary coup. And what distinguishes the film is the seriousness with which it treats this outlandish premise, grounding cosmic stakes in intimate betrayals and unresolved grief, particularly through Blade's haunting memories of his mother and the surrogate mentors he has outlived, which are rendered in fractured flashbacks that bleed into present-day carnage, suggesting that for Blade, the past is never past, but an open wound that refuses to clot.